Welcome back to NFL Live. Mike Williams not back with the Chargers as the 30-year-old receiver informed the team Thursday he intends to retire. Williams had rejoined LA on a one-year contract in March. The Chargers had placed Williams on the physically unable to perform list ahead of camp. Kris Rhim covers the Chargers for us now. And Kris, GM Joe Ortiz said he had expected Williams back quickly, and then Williams announced his retirement the next day. Any sense of what the plan is to replace Williams with the Bolts?
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated. You know, the Chargers had hoped that Mike Williams would return and be the deep ball threat that he was in his first stint with the Chargers with Justin Herbert. But Williams is coming off of the worst season of his career, right? You know, this offense had issues with deep ball problems, and they knew Williams coming in could help that, but they were prepared in the event that he had lost a step. And that looks like Quentin Johnston, who today had one of his best training camp practices I've seen. I've been here for 3 seasons now, and Quentin, he was balling today. He had a deep catch for 58 yards with a defender draped over his back. He had a 25-yard touchdown, and these were all fingertip catches, no body, no bobble. Quentin had a day, and they think Quentin can fill that role. It also looks like rookie second-round wide receiver Trey Harris, who also had a great day with a couple catches across the field and downfield. So while Williams' retirement comes as a shock to the organization, and Justin Herbert said it was heartbreaking, the Chargers are prepared for life without Williams.
Kris, if we're sitting here talking late January and the Chargers are still playing ball, it would surprise nobody. This is a dark horse contender. How much are they looking outside the organization, perhaps for another veteran to add some depth?
Yeah, one thing I can say about GM Joe Ortiz and assistant GM Chad Alexander is they're always kicking the tires. They're always seeing what's out there. Willie Snead was actually at the Bolt in El Segundo, the Chargers' new facility, as a tryout player earlier in the offseason. There's always options out there. There's former wide receiver Keenan Allen. There's Amari Cooper. And one thing about the Chargers, they are going to kick the tires on all these players. But I will say they really like what they have. That's Quentin Johnston. That's Ladd McConkey. It's Trey Harris. It's Jalen Reagor. It's Darius Davis. So they like what they have here, but they're always going to bring in competition and see how they can improve that receiving group.
Like what they have, but probably wouldn't turn down a little more. This is a team that ranked 27th in yards after the catch last season. Kris, thank you. We welcome back Field Yates, Mina, Andrew Hawkins. And Mina, what do you make of the pass catchers currently on this Chargers roster?
It's a little murky outside Ladd McConkey, who was absolutely fantastic last year. But one player I'm really excited to watch is the rookie, Trey Harris, out of Ole Miss. So Justin Herbert was excellent last season, but one area where there was a pretty dramatic split was outside the red zone. Outside the red zone, he was 5th in QBR. Inside, he was 27th. There's a litany of reasons for that. Some of that has to do with pass protection, the lack of a run game. But frankly, when space gets tight like that, you need ball winners. And that's exactly what Trey Harris is. Watching him at college, he almost at times looked like a power forward boxing guys out in the end zone. I really like what he brings to this offense in terms of the contested catchability. And I think it helps the Chargers in a particular area where they need it the most.
Yeah, Phil, by definition, Trey Harris was a 4.52 speed player at the collegiate level, but kind of in line with what Mina just described. I always thought that he was just fast enough. Not the kind of guy that was going to run away from people, but he had such great 50-50 ball skills that Mina just alluded to that you kind of just have the trust in him that if you put the ball in his vicinity, he's got an excellent chance of coming down with it. And, I felt like what the Chargers probably lacked last year was a bit of dynamic playmaking amongst their wide receivers, not named Ladd McConkey. I don't think that Trey Harris is going to be the guy that takes an 8-yard slant and turns it into a 50-yard touchdown catch. That being said, in the gotta-have-it situations or times in which you just sort of need a play to be manufactured, he at least has the skill set on paper to, even if it's not right out of the chutes, develop into a trusted agent for Justin Herbert, who the Chargers have made very clear. It is not Justin who has held them back from reaching great heights over the past 5 or 6 years with him. It is the rest of the franchise needing to be on Justin's level. Jim Harbaugh has made it clear how strongly he believes in Herbert as one of the very best players in the entire NFL.
I think you nailed it. I mean, Ladd McConkey is a star for the Chargers. It's someone they're going to build around. When you lose Mike Williams, what do you lose? You lose the ability to push down the field, and that's what we love about Justin Herbert. He can push the ball down the field. I don't think it's disconnected that the Chargers drafted Trey Harris knowing the struggles that they've had with Johnston. He took a big leap last year under Jim Harbaugh from a yardage perspective. but there's still yard issues. So for someone like Justin Herbert and a quarterback, that does mess with them. They do want guys that they're like, hey, I could put it in that general vicinity and he's going to come down with it. That's what Trey Harris brings to the table. Now for him and his development, it's how quickly can he get brought up to speed in separation and route running and understanding defenses, because he's not going to easily be able to out-athletic NFL DBs the same way he did in college. But absolutely, for Justin Herbert, he's looking for a sure-handed guy just like that he can add to his mix that he has right now.
Let's stay with the wide receiver talk with our wide receiver for a special edition of This Works If. I give Hawk a situation, he tells us if what thing will make it work out or not. Hawk, let's start in Buffalo. No major additions to that receiver room, which is a nice change. This works out for the Bills if
Keon Coleman addresses every point that he made in his own self-scouting in that viral video, right? They drafted Keon Coleman in the second round, but they understood that he had an ability to be a number one guy. And he was hard on himself and called himself trash when he watched it on film. But last season, Keon Coleman continued to develop and got better and better as the season went on. He has to keep being efficient. He has to finish routes. He has to continue to focus in on separation, yards after catch, and of course blocking, because that's what's going to make him a complete receiver and make Josh Allen feel like he truly has his number one guy.
We'll stay in the AFC East. New England made a splash, adding 31-year-old Stephon Diggs off an ACL injury. Hawk, this works out for the Pats
if Stephon Diggs is still a true number one receiver. We just talked about the same thing in Buffalo. If you remember when Josh Allen got a hold of Stephon Diggs, where he was in his career and what that did for his development, because it didn't put the complete onus on Josh Allen's shoulder to make sure this offense continued to move the chains. Every once in a while in his decision making, he's just like, hey, I got a number one guy out there. I got a one-on-one. I got a guy down the field. I'm going to give him a chance. And Stephon Diggs made him right. For Drake May, the New England Patriots will look for the exact same thing. Make it easy on your young quarterback, that if in the event he has a situation where he doesn't feel great, he has a red button he can hit.
Hawk, Jacksonville's plan with Travis Hunter seems to be play him on both sides of the ball. This will work out on offense if
their plan is on defense to put him in nickel packages. Now look, do I think he'll eventually be able to play every down? Possibly. I've never seen it before. But in the NFL, that is a really, really hard ask, but that's what the Jacksonville Jaguars want. Early on, I think they're doing the right thing by having him focus on offense. But that means on defense, if I'm them, I'm playing him more sparingly. I'm putting him in man-to-man situations. I'm putting him in on third down, ways that you can keep him fresh for offense and still be effective. You would hate to have him on both sides of the ball and him be a jack of all trades, but master of none.
We're talking about pros here. There might be a 14-year-old who had the catch of the year in a flag game. Bryson Wright for the Jags 14 under team. Hawk, what are they putting in the water with these kids?
Dude, here's the worst part about this. I went to the flag championships yesterday and got to see him play in person. The video, what it doesn't do justice of, he's 6'4". So I'm looking for this young 14-year-old who's like 5'8". He was the biggest guy at the whole event, and he's 14 years old. I didn't have that water he's drinking, whatever it is.
Hawkins. Yeah, it's a little weird for us to be looking up to 14-year-olds who are like 6 inches taller than us. That's a point for a different time and a different day. But shout out to this young man. That is going up there and attacking the catch point right there. That is how you make not just SportsCenter, but NFL Live and pretty much every single account that I follow on Instagram.
NFL Live, back in your life, a rookie edition of On Trend here. We start in Atlanta, which drafted 2 D linemen in the first round, which addresses an overt weakness. The Falcons' pass rush has seen better days. Go back to 2017, fewest pressures, second fewest sacks, 4th fewest picks, and it's trending in the wrong direction. Just the last 5 years, the Falcons haven't had a single player with 7 sacks in any season. Field, does the bad pass rush trend continue?
Well, Phil, I think it's dramatically improved with those 2 players they took in the first round. They've got Mr. Versatility in Jalen Walker, and then James Pierce, who was as gifted of a natural edge rusher when you want to just pin your ears back and go, as there was in this year's draft class. But to me, the most important part is that these guys better change the pass rush in a hurry, because their first-round pick belongs to the Los Angeles Rams. If this team is not good, we'll look back on that trade as perhaps one that was ill-fated.
Let's stay in the NFC South. Carolina used a first-round pick on wideout Tet McMillan of U of A. Over the last 5 seasons, the Panthers' passing game has shown little success. They rank 30th in completion percentage and yards per attempt. They're one worse, 31st in passing TDs over that span. End result will neither surprise nor encourage Panthers fans. They have the worst record in the league since 2020. Hawk, is McMillan enough to reverse this trend?
I think it'll be a great step in the right direction. I love Ted McMillan. He is of the Michael Evans kind of camp. He's bigger than he looks. He's faster than he looks. But what he does great is he's a contested catch merchant. You throw it in his vicinity, and we've seen some of the highlight reel catches that he's able to produce. And what that does for a guy like Bryce Young, like the theme we've talked about all show, is that it shares the responsibility in playmaking, and McMillan can do that.
Denver made the playoffs last year for the first time since they beat Carolina in Super Bowl 50. Then the Broncos added running back R.J. Harvey late round 2. The mile-high rush attack has been modest, quite frankly. Slight improvement over the last 3 years, but still bottom half of the league in rush yards per game. Denver reloaded. Mentioned they drafted Harvey, also signed J.K. Dobbins. Mina, how can Harvey be the guy Sean Payton needs to transform this run game?
Well, he's walking into a fantastic opportunity. This Denver offensive line was one of the best in football last year, first in ESPN's run block win rate, but they were ranked 30th in yards after contact per carry. R.J. Harvey, meanwhile, had the most rushes over 10 yards of any back in FBS. He's incredibly explosive. I think for me, the only question is how much run he'll get in that committee, not whether he's going to have the opportunity to run away with it.
Well, he knows how to get to his spots, 3.8 yards per contact, before contact per rush. That was the best of any power conference last year.